Extra, read all about it. George Harrison's Extra Texture album. Read all about it. Extra. So, welcome vinyl junkies in a digital age to today's review, which is a challenging one. I bought an album by George Harrison called Extra Texture, and even producer Marie wasn't sure about it. It's received some terrible reviews, which I've looked up on the interwebnet, and a lot of people see it as a very bleak album, not very nice at all. I grew to love this album when it came out, and so I'm going to give you the top 10 reasons why everyone needs to reassess this record, George Harrison's Extra Texture LP. It was released in 1975 following a split from his wife Pattie Boyd, who had had an affair with Eric Clapton. So George was in a bit of a bleak place at the time. He was morose and in the depths of depression and very, very moody, and in the grip of a rather worrying substance abuse dependency, which made him very bad company for a lot of people. Hitting number 8 on the American Billboard and a mere number 16 on the UK charts, album charts. Even George himself disliked this album initially. And it was the follow-up to his Dark Horse album, which had also been poorly received. And then following that, there was a lacklustre tour with Billy Preston and Ravi Shankar. And when he came off that tour and got home, he was mightily relieved and set to work on this record that we're going to talk about today. So here we are, 49 years later. After Essential Rock Discography gave it a meagre 4 out of 10, I'm going to argue that it's a 10 out of 10, a gem, a classic, all these years later, in retrospect and in context of what's come before and after this record. And I'm going to give you 10 brilliant reasons why I think that. And here we have the chart with those values: historical landmark, spiritual content, sequel to former glories, inspired collaborations, quality of the band itself, the ooh factor, excuse me, growth potential, philosophy rating, and has the album got legs, and presentation. So at number 10 in my list of reasons to love this album, it was the last record that was released on the Apple Record EMI imprint, the last ever George Harrison album on that label as well. And so I've argued it's of great historical value. Big, fat, pink tick. Number 9, spiritual content. Question mark out of 10. All of his previous releases featured some evangelising and preaching about his beliefs and stuff to do with Hare Krishna. And I'm sure you're all familiar with the Hare Krishna enthusiasts that amass in towns around the land and chant away like mad people. Well, George was into all of that. He even built or bought a property for them to live in, which is the subject of another day. But this album has a 0 out of 10 for spiritual content because it hasn't got any. It's a love album. It's a soul album, as we are going to argue in a little while. So another tick. Number 8. This album features the sequel to While My Guitar Gently Weeps, a track called This Guitar Can't Keep From Crying. And it reflects George's depression at the time, as we've just been talking about. That's the end of the previous song, I think. Yeah. Which itself is a bit of a gem, but anyway, moving on. So we'll try and get the right track. Hang on a minute. What side do we want first of all? Oh, we want side 1, don't we? Would help if you turn the record to the right side. Always a good thing. This is the 180 gram remaster, which I bought in Empire Records in St Albans, where you will find our friend Eddie James. So, This Guitar Can't Keep From Crying. Is up next. Let's just line this up. I think we've got it now. Yeah, here we go. So, I think this is an excellent track and it's my number 8 reason. Let's play a bit of the song, A Sequel to a Former Glory. Beautiful guitar. Listen to that.
I'm myself out on a limb, but I'm happier than I ever been. But this guitar can't keep, but I'm trying. Learn to get up when I fall, and even climb an old stone wall. This guitar can't keep, but I'm trying.
So it's very different from While My Guitar Gently Weeps, but I love this track. I love the guitar sound on it and the piano from, let's have a look at some notes here, the piano from David Foster. Got some nice piano lines. So I'm going to give this one a tick. Sequel to Former Glories. So next we come to number 7. Inspired collaborations. As you're going to discover, there's some surprisingly upbeat elements on this LP, which was largely about a dark time in George's life. The Sprightly You was a love song, which was originally written for a Phil Spector produced album for Phil Spector's wife, Ronnie Spector, which was released as a single under George Harrison's name and was featured as Record of the Week on Radio 1. So we're going to play a bit of that track. You heard a reprise of it at the beginning of this review. So now we're going to play a bit of You. Listen to the lush vocal on this track. I think it really makes the album. See what you think. Great saxophone. Wow. Jim Horn blowing up a saxophone, and do you know, I could picture Robert Plant singing that. That's so cool. It's so, ooh, I love it. That gets a tick. And if he wasn't friends with Phil and Ronnie Spector, he may never have written that. What a great track, I love it. Okay, number 6, we come to the quality of the band itself. I've called out a couple of names, and George employs a stellar cast of really great seasoned musicians for this record. Real good guys who really know what they're doing. They're people he's worked with before. Some of them have worked with John Lennon as well, another favourite Beatle of mine. And that list of or cast of musicians includes, but is not limited to, Jim Keltner on the drums. Leon Russell plays some piano on the album. Klaus Vormann some bass. Nicky Hopkins some piano. And let us not forget, great musician in his own right, George Harrison on the vocals and guitar. So there's another reason, I think, to love the album. It's a high quality band cutting these songs. Now we come to possibly the most important factor of all of them. I've called it the ooh factor. And what do I mean about the ooh factor? Well, as you know, I'm a big Robert Plant fan, and there's quite a few tracks on here I imagine Robert Plant singing rather well. And he loves a bit of ooh and ooh. And there's a lot of that on this record. It's a moaning, groaning album in places, but beautifully done. So, the ooh factor. Well, we often regard this album as George's blue-eyed soul album. There's a lot of soul influences in the music, in some of the singing and the style of the songs. And it features some very cool, emotional vocals, reminiscent, as we were just saying, of Robert Plant himself, with plenty of oohs throughout the whole record. Inspired by, a bit by Curtis Mayfield and also Smokey Robinson, who he dedicated the song to, is a track called Ooh Baby, Know That I Love You. And that's what we're going to play a bit of next. So this is a Smokey Robinson dedication and inspiration. You can hear the soul influences in this track, which I think is an absolute corker. I think it's a beauty. I really do. Ooh Baby, You Know That I Love You. George Harrison. Let's have a listen to some oohs. Come on, George, don't be shy. Oops, I think I've got the wrong song. Let's go to the right one. Sorry, fourth track in. Right, there we go. Oh yeah, I think we like it. It's a nice slow one, this. Now, when you hear it in the context of how I'm describing it, I think you'll agree it's a bit lush. One you can have a nice slow smooch to, isn't it? It's got lush brass horn section, which is courtesy of Tom Scott and Chuck Finley. It's got a gloriously laid back groove. It's a love song. Tired of Midnight Blue, which we will be coming to, is in a similar vein, but with a bit more pace, featuring some jaunty rhythmic hand clapping. But that track, I think you'll agree, has the ooh factor. Tick! So, reason number 4 to love this album, we'll come to that next. I'll have a bit more of this. This was the electronic piano on it. The horns in the background there. Oh, it's gorgeous. It's absolutely dripping with gorgeousness. So, number 4, growth potential. As you can hear, the melodies are not instant. There's no hooks as such to grab you in, as there is with the best of the biggest pop hot hit singles. It's more subtle. And so I've argued that it's an album that grows and grows with repeated listening. In other words, you don't get it straight away. You hear it a few times and it starts to grow and creep up on you. It's melancholy, but in turns beautiful also, with some classy funky grooves and some lovely guitar licks, as we heard in My Guitar Can't Keep From Crying. So I'd say the growth potential is huge, because it starts at a low point where you're listening to it and you're waiting for the hooks that never come, and you're thinking, really? But then it grows and grows the more you listen to it. So yes, a tick. I'll tell you what, we're doing well here. Old George Harrison there, good lad. Number 3, I've put philosophy rating, but I could call it all sorts of things. It's an honest album bearing the soul, which, as we've just explained, stands the test of time, and I would argue grows on you. with time. But there's a song on it inspired by the architect of George's somewhat quirky and eccentric home, Friar Park. It's a Victorian Gothic mansion set in Hindley-on-Thames and was built in the 1890s by the said architect, a City of London solicitor called Frank Crisp. And he said, "Life is one long enigma, my friend. So read on, the answer is at the end." Now, that is a philosophical statement, and the track you're about to hear a bit of, called The Answer's at the End, give me goosebumps, I don't mind telling you that. So I'll have a bit of that now. That's the end of you fading away into the background. So the track is called The Answer's at the End, and it comes from the phrase, life is one long enigma, my friend. So read on, the answer's at the end. Here we go, let's have a bit of that. Okay.
So read on. The answer's at the end. Don't be so hard on the one that you love. It's the ones that you love. Everything's so
Very philosophical song. Don't be so hard on the ones that you love, because it's the ones that you love that you think the least of. And that's so true, isn't it? We must value those we love. Well, I love all of you, and I value you. That's a start, isn't it? Tick! Yeah, you know it. So intriguingly, the next category I've written down is, has the album got legs? There's a number of ways of thinking about this. I think I need side 2 now, by the way. We must make sure we get the right songs. Yes. So of the more energetic tracks, we have already mentioned You, the song he wrote for Ronnie Spector. We've also mentioned, although we haven't played it yet, a bit of Tired of Midnight Blue. But there's another track on the album which I think lends it a bit of sparkle, a bit of star quality, and it's an upbeat track. It's a bright moment, a shaft of radiant light in this raw and often confessional record, rendering it as a cruelly underrated and harshly judged record. And the track I'm referring to, in fact, I've got some notes about it here, is called His Name Is Legs. Now this track is quite important for a number of reasons. Not only is it a jaunty piece, a bit of a fun piece, a light-hearted track in this rather bleak period of George's life, but it has a nice little, tiny little bass intro from Willie Weeks. And the song features 2 members of the Bonzo Dog Doodah Band. You remember them? Urban Spaceman, Andy Newmark and Legs Larry Smith. So they are on this album as well. So I'd say that lends this album a lot of gravitas. So we have a track on the album called His Name Is Legs, which obviously George was dedicating to Larry. Here's the bass intro, with the piano. there.
Everything is thinking. Everything you do. You're the king of life, done. Pretty bad. Never hold the sense you understand. Like the back of that man. She's singing a man.
What a jaunty little piece with that honky-tonk piano. What a great track. And part of the Bonzo Dog Doodah band in the mix there. That's got to be a tick, hasn't it? Come on, people. You know it makes sense. And of course, again, it's got the ooh factor as we've just been hearing. So that is fantastic. I love that cut on the album. Have you heard anything you don't like yet? There you are. What did I tell you? Okay, finally we come to reason number one to love this record. It gets a point from me straight away for having the tracks listed as they appear on the album in the correct order and on the right side. It's only me that gets it wrong, not them. So I can't blame them. We turn the record round and we find it has a rather fetching and unusual orange sleeve. Yes, you've been tangoed by George Harrison. And if we pull out the inner sleeve, which features a grinning George, you will see that the album title is cut out in die-cut lettering. And I think it's absolutely beautiful. George Harrison, extra texture. Read all about it. Then there's the inner cover. A rather blue George there. Oh no, not him again. So some tongue-in-cheek stuff on this record. It's a fun record as well as a confessional. And there he is, grinning from ear to ear and looking absolutely handsome. What a handsome devil. So for presentation, I've got the 180 gram repressed, remastered version, which I bought at Empire Records in St Albans. So that's a big tick as well. So what do we think of this record then? Well, we think it's an historical landmark. It has spiritual content. That's bigging up these pink ticks. Let's stand it more. It's got a sequel to A Former Glory on it, a rather nice track, you know, the guitar one, This Guitar Can't Keep From Crying. It's got an inspired collaboration, a track he was writing for Ronnie Spector, and he'd been working with Phil Spector. He's got a quality cast of musicians on the record. We've called some of them out, and includes some members of the Bonzo Dog Doodah band as well, as we now know. The album has the ooh factor, that's for sure. It has growth potential. Its philosophy rating is very, very, very high. It has some deep meaning in some of the songs. And the album has got legs, even if it is the guy, Larry, what's his name? And presentation, we've decided it's well presented. So there I give you, ladies and gentlemen, 10 reasons that you should love George Harrison's Extra Texture album. And just to convince you, finally, we'll play out on, let's get the title correct, Tired of Midnight Blue. It's a blues album, it's a moody album, it's got a lot of fun on it, it's got a lot of texture, you could say. Let's play out on this, which is surprisingly jaunty and melodic for a blues song. Have a listen to this. Tired of Midnight Blue. We're going to rock out on this.
As
vintage guitar sound from George there, and some lovely piano keyboard work on this track. It's beautiful, don't you think? Absolutely gorgeous. Listen, thanks for watching. Well done everyone who subscribes. And for those of you that don't, have a go. It's free. You press the little bell thing, or in some cases the word subscribe. There's well over 50 videos on the channel now, about 53 I think, including the one we're doing now. I've also got some badges that I'm happy to give away if you get in touch. And if you've liked what I've been chatting about, he who asks first will get a copy of the notes from today's review. Anyone who wants these notes, there's another page of them here. Just get in touch, find a way, let me know, and you'll be getting these in the post. Alright? And you'll get a badge with it as well. How about that? Tired of Midnight Blue, George Harrison. Over and out again. Keep on rocking.
With you, tired of midnight blue. The sun went down the sky, way up the clouds, told me that they knew I came up so high. And as you smile, I know that you know too. Don't know what I did, but I know what I had seen. They meet you right to the bone. We wish that I stayed home with you, tired of midnight blue.
More oohs from George. That's all we got time for, folks. Cheers. Bye-bye.